And welcome everybody to another edition of the GSMC Football Podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Kenneth Gruenfelder, and it's great to have you guys here on this Thursday, June 13th. We have a lot to talk about on the show today. Before I get into that, just want to remind you guys, as always, to tip or donate, get your comments recognized, make sure to go to the following link. That is GSMCPodcast.net. Again, that really helps the show, makes the show more interactive between myself, the host, and you guys, the viewers. Again, that is GSMCPodcast.net. And as always, it is displayed on the ticker at the bottom of the show segment down below. So, with that being said, let's get into what we are going to talk about for today. So, we're going to start off the show. We're going to talk about Tom Brady's Patriot Hall of Fame induction from last night. I'll give you my thoughts on it, my takeaways from what people had to say and things like that. He became, I believe it was the 35th member to be elected into the Patriots Hall of Fame, if I'm not mistaken. And it was also held on 6/12, 6 Super Bowls and his jersey number. So, so that was last night. So I'll give you my takeaways from that. Then in the second part of the show, I will continue my schedule breakdowns for each team in the NFL. And we have now moved on to the AFC, so we're going to be doing the AFC East. So today we'll be talking about the Bills' schedule. So I'll give you my early win-loss prediction for that. Then in the third part of the show, we will talk about Jordan Love and, kind of just an update on, his contract talks and if there's a possibility he can get it before training camp. So we'll get into that. Some comments he had to make. And then in the fourth part of the show, we'll talk about Russell Wilson, him feeling rejuvenated after joining the Steelers. So I'll get into that as well. And then the final part of the show, I'll kind of talk about the Ravens and their perspective on Derrick Henry and the kind of workload that he can get. Some comments made by Roquan Smith about Derrick Henry and the production that he can have this year. So that's kind of the rundown. So let's get into the first topic, which is talking about last night, Tom Brady being inducted into the Patriots Hall of Fame. So I tried to skim through the video because the entire ceremony was on YouTube. And it was weird because while I was watching it, and I did speed it up because it was a 4.5 hour ceremony. While I was watching it, it cut off and it said this video is now private. So they took down, I guess they took down, the Patriots YouTube account took down the video. So then I was watching Bill Belichick. Somebody else posted Belichick's speech and Brady's speech. So I was able to watch the rest of it there. But it was just kind of weird how that ended up happening. So yeah, I did watch pretty much the whole thing. But again, I sped it up, so I was, because I wasn't going to sit there and, watch the entire thing for 4.5 hours. And on top of that, it was, 10 o'clock at night, my time. So, I'm not going to be up till 2 a.m. watching that. But, because, again, we're still in the off season, so, you got to get creative with things. And this is something that came up, so I wanted to talk about it. But anyways, I'm, spending more time on how I was watching it as opposed to the actual content itself. And it was a nice ceremony. And you had a lot of former Patriots there. There were a lot of tribute videos for Brady. And it was very different compared to, and they made jokes about that, very different compared to a couple weeks ago with the roast. But yeah, you had surprise guest of Peyton Manning was there. I thought it was funny how with the tribute videos, I mean, you had, Ray Lewis, Charles Woodson, you had all the broadcasters, Jim Nantz and Chris Berman, Joe Buck, Al Michaels. You had all these guys doing tribute videos. But I thought it was funny every time they showed Mahomes and they showed Eli Manning, and the crowd just, because this was held in Gillette Stadium, the crowd booed very loudly for both of those guys. So I thought that was funny. But yeah, I mean, listen, it was, I thought, like I said, I thought it was a good ceremony. You had, former teammates speaking very positively about Tom Brady and just the kind of player he was, and talking about how, that's the guy you wanted to have. One thing that I thought was emphasized is that's the guy you wanted to have in the fourth quarter. Peyton talked about it. How I think he was saying how like Tony Dungy was like, listen, you gotta make sure that we have the ball right now. Make sure that you don't give Tom Brady any time. I think it was I don't know what game they were talking about, but just make sure that Brady does not there was like a minute and 35 seconds left. I don't know, something like that. He's like Tony Dungy's like, make sure Brady does not have time left on the clock to go back down the field because that's what Brady was at his when Brady was at his best is just if he had time on the clock to go down the field and win the game, he was going to do it most of the time. And that's what made him great. And not only that, just also another thing too is just, yeah, he might have been a pain for some people. I mean, Gronk talked about it, how he kind of hated Brady his rookie season, but at the same time, they knew that Brady wanted the best out of his players. And, even if you thought you were a rookie, like Devin McCourty talked about how Brady, introduced himself. He said, we're happy to have you. Like, he tried to get to know his teammates. And, there's just a lot of things that they said that they really spoke highly of Brady. And that's why, he has 7 Super Bowls. And he just, worked at, he was a competitor. And also the other thing, too, is I wanted to bring up was Randy Moss getting that huge ovation. Got very emotional about it. I mean, him and Brady did a lot together in those few years that he was in New England. And, of course, the 2007 season, they were special together. And they didn't win the Super Bowl, of course, but that was one of the best teams ever. And, yeah, they didn't win a Super Bowl, but they're still going to go down in history as one of the best teams of all time. And then also Bill Belichick, he got a huge ovation too. And he told an interesting story about him and Brady playing golf, which I didn't think would come up, but I thought that was a little funny if you were able to catch that. But yeah, Belichick got a huge ovation. And I mean, listen, I know things kind of ended sour and, losing his final game as the Patriots head coach, losing to the Jets. But at the end of the day, what Tom Brady and Bill Belichick were able to do for 20 plus years, or for 20 years, that's probably never going to be repeated. I mean, I know, and I've brought this up, Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, they have 3 Super Bowls right now, but right now, they're not close yet to that. And whether you liked the Patriots or not, and believe me, there were plenty of times where I rooted against the Patriots. There is a level of appreciation that you have for that, that you were able to witness greatness. And, now that it's over, you could sit back and say that. I mean, at the time, you're like, yeah, I can't wait for this to be over. I mean, especially for, fans of teams that had to go against Brady for years and just are tired of seeing him constantly in the Super Bowl and all that. It's just, there is a level of appreciation for it, what they were able to accomplish together. And I think, whatever drama they had behind the scenes, I mean, that's, you could throw that out the window and just appreciate the good times because they won a lot together. And the Patriot fans, they were probably done with Belichick, but they gave him his flowers last night with that ovation because it went on for a while. Brady and Belichick meant a lot to each other. They helped each other succeed. Now, some people will say it was more Brady, or most people will say it's more Brady, which I'd probably lean towards at this point just because of, Brady going to Tampa and winning a Super Bowl and Belichick, what ended up happening with the Patriots after Brady left. But they both helped each other out. And, yeah, I mean, they're going to go down in history as, the greatest, head coach quarterback duo, in most people's eyes. So, but, yeah, I mean, they throw out the bad times and, Just remember the good. Really, that's what it comes down to. But yeah, I mean, listen, it was a special night for Tom Brady, his family. It was good to see his parents because I know they've been through a lot. Um, and just for the Patriot fans, and again, this is a New York guy talking about, Boston. But, I mean, again, he deserves it. He does. And, it's, he's one of those guys that you grew up watching for a long time. And, now he's going to be a broadcaster. So we'll see how that goes. I think he's going to do okay. But we'll have to wait and see. But, yeah, I mean, he's got a lot of stuff going on. But, yeah, I mean, it was kind of weird not seeing him last year for the first time, in my life that Tom Brady's not on the field. But, yeah, I mean, it was going to happen eventually, And it's just kind of funny how yesterday I was talking about Aaron Rodgers not going to minicamp and just, all the drama surrounding that, people making a big deal out of it. And then you got Tom Brady being, inducted into the Patriots Hall of Fame. So, but like I said, whether you like him or not, Brady does deserve it. Had a great career. And, yeah, I mean, to be honest, yeah, he's going to, I kind of do miss seeing him play just because, again, it's someone that you watch for a long time. You miss seeing him play, Peyton Manning, Breeze, Eli, Big Ben, all those guys. I mean, Rodgers is eventually going to retire, which is going to be sad. That it's a changing of the guard, man. We got all these young quarterbacks now. We're in good hands. It's just, it's upsetting kind of seeing, guys you grew up watching, slowly but surely leaving. So, but yeah, congratulations to Tom Brady on being inducted into the Patriots Hall of Fame. Again, it was a great ceremony. But let me know what you guys think. What were your takeaways from it? Again, I mean, could spend an hour talking about this, but we only got 12 minutes really for this. So, but yeah, let me know what you guys think. Some of your takeaways from it. So with that, we're going to take our first break of the show, and then when we come back, we'll talk about the Bills' schedule for next season, and I'll give you my early win-loss predictions for them. So with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.